to show Kobe Bryant's helicopter circling just minutes before the crash that killed all 9 aboard. The NTSB used a helicopter today to airlift key pieces of wreckage out of the rugged hillside crash site while investigators hunted for smaller items. Investigators are poring over pilot Ara Zabayan's history and helicopter maintenance records. Preliminary flight data shows the trip started normally. About 15 minutes later, the pilot began to circle. The weather was getting worse as he waited 12 minutes for air traffic control to clear him onward. About 9:40, flying below the clouds, Zabayan asked controllers to track him on radar, but he was too low. 4 minutes later, radioing, he was climbing to go above the layer of clouds. Flying now in potentially blinding fog, he reached 2,300 feet before turning left. In its final 12 seconds, the helicopter began to dive, falling at nearly 5,000 feet per minute. The last recorded speed, about 184 miles an hour. NBA star LeBron James spoke to Bryant earlier that morning. In an Instagram post, James wrote he was heartbroken and devastated and promised to continue Kobe's legacy. Bryant's former teammate, Shaquille O'Neal, also talked about losing his friend.
I haven't eaten, I haven't slept. Our relationship was that of brothers.
An outpouring of grief for all of the victims, including baseball coach John Altobelli, his wife and daughter.
He had the perfect life, perfect wife, perfect family. It's just mind-boggling how quick that went away.
It's, you've got 3 miles of visibility in front of you and clouds at least a couple thousand feet. He didn't have that situation here, and it is unusual when a helicopter flies off of instruments, which would be the other option. So there are some questions about the decision to climb into the clouds. Of course, if he felt like things were worsening and he didn't have another option, you do what you can do to try to get everybody on the ground safely. But the question here is he climbed. And certainly that helicopter could have climbed above the clouds, but after he climbed to 2,300 feet, the helicopter turns to the left and begins a dive. Why did that happen? For visibility, and the air traffic controller said, I need you to hold over Glendale because I have other airplane traffic in the area, and until that traffic cleared out, he needed to hold and then was cleared to move along. The weather appeared to be deteriorating at that time, so I think the NTSB will certainly look to have a full understanding of the weather conditions throughout this flight, but it's not uncommon for aircraft to encounter sort of a traffic jam around a Southern California airport, and that's essentially what happened here. The question is, what was the weather doing as they were waiting as that flight was getting longer?
Wow, and you see those images of the wreckage, it's really horrific. So
they are going to go over the wreckage. If they can get a good look at the engines, they're going to take those apart if they need to. They want to determine if anything mechanically went wrong with the helicopter. And basically, you think about it, you put all the options on the table. Over time, investigators are going to try to pull things off the table, so you're left with the scenario that was the most likely cause here. It could be weather, it could be mechanical failure, it could be something else. That's why they take a very comprehensive and a very slow, or typically in about 10 days, and that's a statement of the facts as they know them at that point. But it is a long process, and we may get some clues. Certainly, there are some big questions that have already come up, but it will be months, if not a year or more, before there is a clear answer from the NTSB about what they believed caused this crash.